I'm just going to do the introduction, so hopefully if there's anybody who's still joining us from downstairs, they will catch up the important stuff. So I'm very happy to introduce both Karyn, Stock-MacDonald, the Business and Innovation Coach, and Samar of Barakeh, Project Management Support Office. They're both from the city of Mississauga, and Karyn has worked for about 28 years at the city, where she also worked as a planner, project manager, strategic advisor, and the manager of business planning. She's an experienced business coach and award-winning facilitator. She's a two-time recipient of the prestigious Facilitation Impact Award from the International Association of Facilitators. She holds an honors degree in geography from University of Ottawa and is a certified pro-sci change management specialist. Samar is an enthusiastic advocate of good practices in project management. During the past 5 years at the Project Management Support Office at the City of Mississauga, he has been leading initiatives aiming to enhancing project management maturity and supporting projects. Samar has a Bachelor in Engineering, Master's in Project Management. He has a grad certificate in International Business, PMI PMP certification, and PMI RMP certification, and ROSI, is that how I say it? Change management certification. So I'm really happy to have both Samar and Karyn with us today to help us explore and practice innovative brainstorming methods. I'm excited that there's going to be lots of ideas that they will share with us. So please join me in welcoming Karyn and Samar to our workshop today.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here with us today. So we'll be talking about how to infuse innovative brainstorming in our projects. First, this is more as an interactive session. So my intro would be a little bit brief, and then we'll be handing over to Karyn, who's going to lead us through an interactive session. I want to set the stage about why do we need innovative brainstorming. If we are managing our projects end-to-end, managing our scope, our time, our budget, and so on, what's in it? Why do we need to have innovation? Why do you need to have brainstorming? Why do we need to have engaging of these stakeholders and teams and so on? So first, I want to remember, as people managing projects in the public sector, we have different types of projects, scales, budgets, time frames. We have projects that are running on different spectrum of industries. And for all of these projects, who believes that managing, for example, the budget is more difficult than managing the teams? Or is it vice versa? What do you think? Which one is more challenging for you? The teams. Is it more difficult to manage the schedule or the stakeholders? Stakeholders. Is it more difficult to manage our scope or, for example, other team members that don't belong to your own division/section/department, right? Absolutely. So it's all about people. We need to be able to emphasize on how do we manage the people, because once you do that, everything else is much easier. Another thing to think about is, how do I know where I stand today? So when it comes to time, when it comes to money, you can quickly figure out, I'm 2,000 over budget, I'm 5,000 under budget. But when it comes to stakeholders' satisfaction, or people's commitment, or teams buy-in, is it that clear anymore? Not really. Yeah. So that's why it's very important for us as project leads to ensure that we are engaging our stakeholders, our teams, customers, end users, and so on in a very effective way. A typical life cycle of a project. You start with an idea, an approved budget request, a need, somebody wants to deliver, and then we plan, and then we execute, and then we close. So when do we need to engage people? When do we need to have these interactive sessions to get people contributing to the projects? It's everywhere. Throughout the lifetime of your project, you need to engage teams, people, customers, and users, and so on. So that's why we're going to practice a new way. Probably some of you may be familiar with brainstorming, but today we're putting in a new lens on brainstorming to see how do we do innovative brainstorming with our teams to get them involved and to get them committing. We'll be assuming that we have a new policy to promote some environmental initiatives. And this flows really well with our previous presentation, right? Okay, so this is a time for you guys to start engaging in this interactive session with my partner in crime, Karyn Stock-MacDonald, to help us engage people and learn how to do innovative brainstorming. So over to you, Karyn.
I'm going to hang out down here with you guys and not be on a stage. Thanks for having us. We're really happy that you're joining us, and you chose us over the juggler downstairs, so we're really happy that you did. We will not be juggling, but we'll accept clapping. That's all good. I'm a fan of quotes, and one of my favorite quotes is, "People tend to resist that which is forced upon them, and people tend to embrace that which they help to create." And so that's why it's really important to engage people throughout the process, early, at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, to debrief projects, etc. And so the process, or the tool that I'm going to be sharing with you today is going to help you I think I may be close to that, so I'm going to stand over here, that you can use at any point in your project. Is someone? I hear some feedback, so I don't know if it's because I'm too low. And so I'm going to introduce to you some really innovative ways of doing brainstorming. I want you to think back to a time where perhaps you've been in a brainstorming session, and I want you to think about a time where that brainstorming session maybe didn't go that well. Maybe you had one person standing at the front of the room with a pen, a marker, and a flip chart saying, "So, do you guys have any ideas?" And they're writing them down, which is really old school facilitation. At the City of Mississauga, we like to say that we drive innovation through facilitation, and we train facilitators and give them tons of facilitation skills to help do this way better. We all remember a time being in a brainstorming session where, there's some extrovert or two in the room that's dominant, that never stops talking. They're giving all the ideas. 80% of the people in the room say nothing. And so I'm going to teach you how to engage everyone. Every single person in the room, regardless of their level, regardless of who they are, regardless of their personality type, whether they think they're creative or not creative, regardless of whether they're an introvert or an extrovert. And I've done it in a room with 1,000 people or a room with 10 people. So we're going to show you this technique today, and it's called individual brain writing, and we're going to throw in an extra little tool called triggered brain writing. And I have handouts for all of you, which you don't have on your tables because you'd be reading them and not listening to me, so that's my little trick as a facilitator. And so we are going to do a hypothetical brainstorming session together, and we're going to demo this tool and do it together. I'm going to give you probably a little less time than I normally would a real group because we're hypothetically practicing a tool. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to pose a question to you, kind of the problem statement question, and you are going to brainstorm all of your ideas. So I want to remind you quickly first about, what are the principles of brainstorming? It's really important to remind groups that when you're brainstorming, you are at the ideation phase and you are not at the assessment phase, the judgment phase, the costing phase, the critical phase. So you're going for quantity over quality of ideas at this point. You are to reserve judgment of the ideas. and just say yes and. If you're familiar with improv and you're familiar with the idea of saying yes to every idea, that is what I want you to keep in mind throughout this brainstorming session. And so the question, I'm going to give you all of the instructions, and then I'm going to set you off to go. If you are at a table by yourself, or with just one other person, after I give you all these instructions, I'm going to get you to just join a table where there's more than one person there. And so the question I'm going to pose to you is, what are all of the things, this is in keeping with a lot of the theme that has gone on today, especially the last presentation, what are all of the things we can do to infuse environmental sustainability into our projects? How can we be more green in our projects? What are all the things we can do to infuse environmental sustainability into our projects? What are some of our ideas of all the things we can do? Remember, you're reserving all judgment. So before you start writing or thinking, I'm going to tell you all the instructions. So there are blank pieces of paper in the middle of all the tables, and everybody needs to have one of those pieces of paper and something to write with. If for some reason you don't have a pen, I'm sure you could borrow one. So again, I'm going to give you all the instructions, and then you're going to go. I want you to write as legibly as you can on your page, and you are now individually writing, not talking. You are individually writing down as many ways that you can think of that we can embed environmental sustainability into our projects. So you're answering that question, you're brainstorming, go for quantity of ideas. Ready? I'll give you maybe 4 minutes to write as many things down as you can. Go. I want you to keep writing until I say stop. Force yourself to think of another one, another way, another way. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Just finish the idea that you're printing for now. And I'm just going to refocus you. It's not quite 4 minutes, so you'll see. Because we're a little short on time, I'm going to keep you moving. So, the next thing you're going to do is to take your page and pass it to the right. And everybody says, oh God, I'm like, I told you to write legibly. Okay, so before you all start talking about it again, I'm going to give you the instructions. Are you ready? And you know how I can tell you're ready? Because you're not talking and you're looking at me. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to tell you what to do. So you're not looking at the page, you're looking at me because I'm telling you what to do. That's how I can tell you're ready. Thank you. So, You are going to be reading all of the list of ideas that your colleagues or your friends at your table have written, and then you are going to either say yes and to those ideas and add to their ideas. So if you read an idea and you go, oh, that makes me think of something else, just put a little line and add to it, so yes and to that idea. Or you're going to add to the bottom of the list new ideas because their ideas triggered you to think of something else. So you're not going to rewrite the ideas you've already written. We're looking for all new stuff now. So either say yes and add to one of their ideas, or add to the bottom of the list some new ideas. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Go. Keep writing. You're not talking yet. Keep writing. Read and write. Read and write for one more minute. Push yourself to add to the list. Okay, I'm going to ask you to finish the idea you're writing now. And again, we're demoing this tool today. I would normally give a little longer, but we're a little shorter on time. And so I'm going to ask you one more time. You're going to do the exact same thing as you pass your papers, one more to the right. So you're reading the list, saying yes and to those ideas, adding on to those ideas, or adding to the bottom of the list new ideas that you have not yet written on any pages. Give you a couple minutes, go ahead. Okay, I'm going to ask you to finish that idea that you're writing right now. Just finish that. And again, we're demoing the tool today. I would normally give longer, and I'm watching as a facilitator, people's heads are still down and they're writing furiously. I keep letting them write until people kind of are popping up. They're doing something else. They're looking at their phone. And I'm like, okay, they might be kind of done. So I'm glad you were still furiously writing, but I'm going to stop you because we're just demoing that today. I'm going to ask you now to pass the paper back to the original owner. And before you start reading and talking, I'm going to give you all the instructions, first of all, for the next step. Are you ready? So you have your paper back. Normally I would go maybe one more round, and again, obviously this works best when people are at small tables. I might go one more round, but for today we're going to stop there. And so when you get your list back, I want you to read the whole list. And I want you to put maybe a little star beside what you think are your top 4 or 5 ideas, the ones you like the best, whether they were yours or someone else added and it was one of their ideas. And I'm going to give you all the instructions before you start reading your list. And you know how I can tell that you're ready to listen to all my instructions? Because you're looking at me. Awesome. So you're going to read your whole list, put a little star beside your top 4 or 5. And then you are going to pair and share. So that means you're going to pair up with another person at your table, and this is where the extroverts are like, thank God I finally get to talk and not just write. Hope the introverts are happy because you got to write all your ideas down. But even if people are shy or they're introverts, they're usually okay to talk to one other person. So if I ask people in the room to share now, some in a bigger group, introverts, some people are shyer, people are inside, people have anxiety, may say nothing, but they're probably okay to pair up and share and talk about the ideas with one other person. And that's the beauty of this exercise, and that's how you engage a room of 1,000 or a room of 10 equally. So you're going to read your list, put a little star beside your top 4 or 5 on that list, turn to a person at your table beside you, and share those top 4 or 5. Then between the two of you, I want you to come up with your top 2. So already in a very short period of time, you're writing lots of ideas. You're already starting to prioritize individually, and then together you're prioritizing even further. So read your list, star beside top 4 or 5, turn to another person and share those top 4 or 5, and between the two of you, decide on your top 2. Good? Go. Start beside your top 4 or 5. You want to find one other person to Decide on your top two between the two of you. Okay, do we have our top two between the two of us? Maybe top two? Okay, I'm going to refocus you. Are you ready? I'm going to refocus you. Are we ready? Guess how I can tell you're ready? Awesome. And as just quick little facilitation tips, it's really important that everyone in the room is focused on the next step, or if someone else is speaking, so that it's a facilitator's job to make sure that the room is refocused, and that's why I asked, are you ready? And it's not being nasty, it's just saying how I can tell you're ready is you are looking where you're supposed to, either at the slides or at me or at the person who's speaking. So, okay, so again, we individually brainstormed. Every single person had equal time to do that. You all individually got to share your ideas with some other people at the table, and they built on those ideas, and so that's called triggered brainwriting. I have handouts on how to do all of this, so you can give them to you, you'll get them at the end. And then you got to share your favorites with one other person, and then you got to prioritize even further. And so again, this would last longer, but I'm demoing it today. So now I'm going to, then we would usually do something with those ideas, but this very quick exercise was the brainstorming ideation part of the exercise. So what I'm interested to hear quickly is just maybe one of your top two, and what I do for group share back. Another quick tip is I wouldn't say, give me all of your top two or three, give me all of yours, give me all of yours, give me all of yours. By the time we get to you guys, they're like, you got nothing. Because everything has been said already. So anytime you're getting groups to share back, they get to share one thing. One thing, one thing, one thing, all the way around the room, and then come back to one thing again. Don't get them to share everything so that everyone has equal access. For today, I'm just going to take volunteers because we're short on time. So who would like to, nice and loud so the whole group can hear, share one of your top two ideas? Stand up, someone who'd like to share? Nice and loud.
Flexible workplace practices, like working elsewhere from home.
Okay, what else? Someone else share yours, please? Yep, stand up and shout it nice and loud.
We said partnering with other cities to look at what green technologies are available.
Okay, partnering with other cities. Let's have two more. Two more. This is your chance, nice and loud.
It's related to that. It says
I'll give you the mic.
Oh, okay. So it's related to what she said. We said leverage knowledgeable people to design green buildings and processes.
Okay, let's have one more. Okay.
To execute a single-use plastic ban and implement with stakeholders.
Okay, thank you. And so, again, the purpose of the exercise was to demo the tool, not to really solve the problem, but hopefully you got some good ideas to work on that problem statement. And so, I'm really interested in some really quick reflection on the exercise. So the first part of it was called individual brainwriting, right before you speak, and everyone gets a turn. Then triggered brainwriting, where you passed it around to people. Your ideas triggered something else in your colleagues, and they added with yes and or to the bottom of the list. And then pairing and sharing, where everyone got to share their favorite ideas and you further prioritized. So those were all the steps we took. I have that in the handout. So I'm interested in what most stood out for you in that exercise. What's one thing that stood out? Nice and loud.
I think the second step there, getting an idea from somebody and having a
That's great, and it helps you think not just like you. So it helps eliminate groupthink, it helps you eliminate thinking just like yourself, and you're seeing what other people are thinking, and it triggers more ideas. What else stood out for you about that? Nice and loud.
I like the focus that this is an idea phase, because I know when I've done things in the past, you start evaluating immediately and lost time. So focusing on just this is just ideas.
Yeah, brainstorming should not require any judgment or assessment, although I moved you into eventually assessing the ideas and picking your favorites in a quick period of time, but when you were in the ideation, writing the ideas down, no judgment. What is one question you're left with? Questions? Any questions you're left with? And I'll stay as long as you want to answer questions, but any other questions? There's another.
It appears that having the right problem statement in the beginning is critical. How much time do you spend on developing that before you execute the brainstorm?
Yeah, so the problem statement is really important, and I like to call them opportunity statements. It's a problem, but you can change it into an opportunity. So the problem might be we're not sustainable enough in our project management, and so I said, what are all of the ways we could infuse environmental sustainability into our projects? And so I always like to start every ideation session with what are all of the ways, what are all of the thoughts, what are all of the ideas, or how might we? Those are my two ways of wording a opportunity statement. And there's a whole other workshop I teach where you figure out how to write problem statements, but it's really about getting to root cause as well. So if you're working on a problem, it's a good idea to do fishboning or ask the 5 whys to make sure you're not just working on surface. Any other questions?
So,
Nice and loud.
what's the recommended project size to?
Any size, any size. It could be, how can we clean up our desk today? It could be, how do we build an environmentally friendly fire training center? So there's no size. This could apply to anything.
Is there a way to look at all the ideas? Like, there's some ideas that we just started that maybe
Yeah.
trigger another.
Yeah, so that's important too, to look at all of the ideas. That's why you're sharing at least all of your ideas with other people before you start prioritizing. But you're right, you need 1,000 good ideas to come up with maybe 2 great ones. So it is important sometimes to capture more of the ideas. So for the purposes of today, I said decide on your top 4 or 5 or your top 2. Those are smaller numbers than I would normally give, but you're right. It's important to capture all of the ideas, and there's other things that you can do with those ideas as well.
So how would you go to the next stage of
Yeah.
evaluating what ideas have greater merit than
Yeah,
others, other than just purely a consensus-based?
Yeah, so there's lots of ways you can do. I have many, many applications. So sometimes we do good, better, best, and that's like a way of doing a triple filtered process. Sometimes I use a focused conversation to ask, which ideas do you think have the most value? Which ideas would engage the most people? So it's asking a series of questions to help people think through that. Sometimes I would give those questions to the pair to look at that. Sometimes I would get them put on stickies, and they get pulled up onto a wall, and you start categorizing. So again, this is one step in a big process that we use, but we wanted to, for today, focus on the brainstorming aspect with the main goal of engaging everyone in the room so that people can't dominate. So that was the main purpose of today. But you're right, there's lots of things, and I'd be happy to share those with you as well. So I know that our time is being close to up. So I just wanted to let you know, Samara and I are going to stay as long as you want afterwards to answer questions. There are handouts up at the front here that show you triggered brain writing, the individual brain writing, and also brain walking, which is another way to engage kinesthetic learners, or getting people up instead of seated, and where you have flip charts throughout the room, and you're actually writing them on flip charts and then moving to the next flip chart and reading what other people have written and adding to those. So there's different ways of doing it, and I have all the guidelines right before you here. One other thing I want to mention, is this is all about learning from each other for free. That's basically what we're doing here. And I just wanted to let you know that myself and a bunch of other colleagues from municipalities across Canada, some of you are aware of this and some of you aren't, but there's a Municipal Innovators Community, MIC for short, MIC. We've now had 5 national conferences, and it's all about learning from each other for free. So, and you can network and find out stuff with other municipalities and connecting municipal employees across Canada so they can share stuff. And so if you Google Municipal Innovators Community, you'll find the website, and you can join for free. There's no cost. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And so with that, we thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this little exercise. Come and get your handouts. Thank you, Sam, my colleague, and have a great day.